Greetings, fans and friends. BZ here, coming at you. The BZSOS podcast. Thank you, you loyal listeners who've been, through all of the other 2 episodes. Hey, we're getting going. My other podcasts have a lot of episodes. This one's just getting going. This here for 2 reasons. BZSOS podcast, one, to reinforce for our BZSOS friends and clients who are running on BZSOS. You know how great your life gets when you run on BZSOS. And those of you who are interested and just want to get some sales advice and maybe down the road want to send me an email and find out how to get certified, how to get your team using the Blind Zebra Sales Operating System. You just send us an email, bzsos@blind-zebra.com. I'll have to make a country version, maybe make a R&B soul version, maybe a rap version of that down the road. So I'm going to take tools from our operating system and talk about them a little bit inside baseball, little Easter eggy for my clients that run on BZSOS, kind of generic for the rest of you. But in the end, I want it to be valuable for you. Okay. Today, I'm going to talk about planning. Today's episode is all about planning. And I'm going to highlight a few things that we see working with all of our BZSOS clients who run on BZSOS and where they make mistakes, but light mistakes in planning, and how plans can fade. All right. So we have over 44 tools in the operating system. And one of those tools is a personal business planning tool. And personal business planning tool at its core is a template. And it's interesting if you're listening to this. So if you're a sales leader, you're listening, and I asked you the question, does your entire sales team, do they have a business plan, personal business plan written for themselves? Most times people say, yeah, they do. Oh, they got plans. Yeah, they all got plans. I go, cool. Can you show them to me? I'd like to see them. You got 10 salespeople, bring all 10 of them up at once. Now here's where the ums and uhs start. Well, they all know what's expected of them. Oh, that's not a plan. That's an expectation. Well, they all have their goals. Okay, that's cool. That's one little element of a plan, but that's not a how to get the goal. There's, it's missing. Or they say, yeah, I had them all send them to me. Yeah, they're all doing business plans. They're putting them together right now. Well, can you show me a few? And they pull 4 of them up, and they're all 4 in a different template, all 4 different framework. And then I say, how are you going to make sure that they get these plans? It's like, well, they know. They're big kids, and we don't babysit them around here. I'm like, okay. When I hear those things, and if you're listening, and this is you, if you're, that's you, it's okay. You're not in trouble. But most people, if I say, can you show me your business plan, can't show me their plan. They can't produce it in a document. They can't show it to me. Most people can. I'm not going to go percentage because I don't know. Yeah, I thought, this many percent. But I'm asking you, you're listening to this, do you have one? And if you do, great. Then you do. Okay, good for you. Most don't. So if you don't, the step number 1 to this is do. From now on, when someone asks you, do you have a business plan written down for this time period right now? Then do. Then you say yes, and I do it. Could you do one? Have something written down. That's a great step. All right. So that's the first thing that when I see people that struggle with this whole planning thing is they just don't have anything written down. They have a goal written down, but what a plan is the how to get it. It's not the outcome part. So the plan is way more about the process and the inputs than it is about the outcomes. Outcomes are part of it for sure, but we've got to dig in and figure out how we're going to get what we're after. That's the planning part. Okay. And so our business plan is very thorough. It highlights 2 big, it has 10 parts to it, but 2 of the parts are business objectives and controllable behaviors. And so I want you to think about in your own planning, your business objectives, and I want you to examine what you've got written down for your goals 2 steps deeper than you already do. Here's what I mean by that. Most of you listening to this will have a goal written down. You say, okay, I want my sales to be, I want my sales to average $1 million a month. I'm like, great, that's a good goal. Okay. So 2 steps deep, I would say, okay, question, $1 million a month. Do I care if the $1 million a month all comes from existing clients? First step, you're like, no, I don't care. I don't care. Some of you are like, you know what? A sales leader is going to look at that. Go, no, wait, hang on a second. I want my guy or gal, if she's going to do $1 million a month, I want at least 400,000 to come from new, and 600 can come from existing growth and expansion, but 400 needs to come from new logos. Well, if she doesn't have that written down, you guys don't have the same goal. Her goal is $1 million clean. Your goal is $1 million, but it has qualifiers. 400 needs to be new, 600 can be existing. It's a huge difference, huge difference. And when sales leaders come to me like, guys, we made our numbers last week, but we got no new logos. I'm like, that's because you didn't measure for new logos. Or if you did, there was no consequence to not getting a new logo. Okay. So that's the first thing. Go one level, then go a second level. Say, okay, I'm going to do $1 million in sales, but my average, some of you have markup or gross margin or GP. I'm going to do $1 million in sales, but my average GP is going to be 3%. On all my revenue sold, we're going to have 3% of gross margin or gross profit in there. Your CFO is going to go, we can't live on that. That's risky. If we sign up for that deal and things go wrong or our costs get out of control in the project or whatever it is that you sell, that's no good. We can't do that either. So we've got to be, here's the lesson, you have to be specific in what you ask for in your goals. Be specific. And by specific, I don't mean just the number. I mean how you want the number to show up. In what form do you want the number to show up? So a much better written goal is I'm going to do $1 million per month. And that $1 million is going to combine to be a minimum of 400,000 in new and 600,000 or more in existing at an average GP at 11 points or above, 11 percentage points or above. Now I've got a really tight, very specific goal. Okay, so that's a takeaway from this. As you're thinking about your goal, I want you to think about going 2 levels deep on each of the numbers. Most of us are good at the big number. I'm going to do $1 million a month. Where we get way better is if we say, here's how we want that $1 million to show up. In what form do we want that $1 million to show up? We want it to come 400 new, 600 existing, and we want it to be at or above 11 points of GP. Now you got something. Now everyone's covered. So that's the first thing I see is people just putting like a raw number and they don't think past it. And I want you to think past it when you're doing this. That's the first thing. The second thing that I'm going to talk about in this episode are the controllable behaviors. And I'm going to highlight the word controllable. So this is a super common thing that we see when people are trying to do business plans on their own with no guidance or template like we have in BZSOS. They're just sort of winging it on their own. Is they'll say they want to have a certain number of meetings or deliver a certain number of quotes or respond to a certain number of RFPs. And the problem with that is none of those things are solely in your control. I can't have a meeting with you without you saying yes. So that's not a controllable behavior. If you agreed to have a coffee with me, something happened before you agreed to it. What was it? I asked you. That is controllable. And when you think about what is controllable, it's a very limited subset of behaviors. Things like what we can control. I can email you. I can call you. I can text you if I have your mobile phone number. I can direct message you on LinkedIn. I can stop by your office, see if you're there. Excuse me. Need a cough button. I can go to an event. There are very few things that are just in my control. So when you're thinking about your actions, try not to think about, I want to have this many meetings or I want to do this many proposals. Those all require someone else. Think upstream of what has to happen to get there. What has to happen to get there. And what usually has to happen is scaled over how many you want. So if I want to have 5 meetings in a week, I need to ask 10 people to meet with me. I'll speak for myself. I'm not that good. If I ask 10 people to meet with me, not all 10 are saying yes. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. If I ask 10 people, 4 or 5 might say yes, but all 10 aren't. So if I want to have 4 or 5 meetings, I got to be inviting 10. That's the controllable behavior. And most of you listening, if you run on BZSOS, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All you're doing from my message today is you're just getting more locked in and detailed on it and making sure that you're in the controllable setting. If you don't run on BZSOS and you're listening, this should be like a hit in the head to you. You got to understand I've got to only focus on things I can control behaviorally before I think about my goals. Okay. Controllable behaviors. So that's the second kind of element that we see people miss is they don't have a behavior plan. And then the third thing I want to talk about, just kind of wrap this thing up, is you have to have some accountability mechanism to your plan or it will fade away on you, I promise. as great and wonderful as all of the BZSOS tools are, and I think they're all great and wonderful, and kind of like, you talk to songwriters. I'm a big music guy. You talk to Elton John, Billy Joel, not talk to him like you're buddies with them, but listen to him interviewed. They'll talk about this. Billy Joe talks about sometimes some of his songs are like they're all kids to him, and they all have certain personalities and aspects, and then some of them annoy him, and some of his songs he loves, and they evolve over time. I have that relationship with all the tools in BZSOS. It's a little nerdy, but I'll own it. And I've got some faves. This is one of my faves that fades. One of my faves that fades. And I always scratch my head. And as the head coach or one of the head coaches, I'm always like, how can I not let this fade? And I think the reason it fades is because it takes a tiny little bit of extra effort. And by tiny little bit, I mean it takes 7 minutes on the last Friday of every month. That's what it takes. 7 minutes on the last Friday of every month. Remember last episode? GoPro camera. I don't want to follow you around. That's all it takes. And for some reason, I think maybe because that's not a lot, the trick to this thing is to have some accountability mechanism, whether you meet with peers, you get a couple friends together, but you've got to calendar that accountability meeting to eternity, or this business plan will fade on you. It will. And in that accountability meeting, you got to be very real with yourself. Very real. And if you run on BZSOS, when you read a mechanism for your accountability triad, you've only got one of 3 areas. 6 total responses is all you can say. If you're not running on BZSOS and you're rolling down a list of business objectives with your accountability person, you say my goal was $1 million. If you did 999 and your goal was $1 million, you know what you say? Miss. You just say miss. Learn to own with certainty where your goal is and where your result is. Just own it. Don't make it up. Well, I got pretty close. I was right there. I mean, basically hit. Don't say basically hit. My other job, I worked in the National Football League. One of the greatest things about that, it's a hard world in the football. I mean, bigger problems in life, but it's a tough business. What I love about it, there's no opinions, man. In the end of the thing, one team wins the Super Bowl. End of story. There's no voting. There's no what conference you're in, like college. It's one. So just be real. If you got beat 23-22, you lost. You didn't get close. You didn't almost win. You didn't if a couple things would have gone our way, you lost. You lost. Just own it. And then you know what? Sometimes you're going to win. And you're going to win. And you won because you scored more points. If you're doing your goals, you're in an accountability meeting, do not flower up the language around where you are to your goal. If the goal was 10,000 and you did 15,000, you say hit. You don't say, I killed it, man. I'm awesome. You have 2/3. Don't say that. My goal is 10,000. I did 11,000. Hit. My goal is 10,000. I did 9,998. Miss. Just do that. And if you learn to do that, your brain is going to start to rewire itself away from subjective, hopeful salesperson into very objective, clear business person who happens to do sales for a living. That will be a gift, I promise you, over your sales life. Okay, that's it. Friends that are running on BZSOS, thank you so much. You've always got 911 service. You can always call, talk to a head coach, and I'll see you on the live calls. If you don't run on BZSOS, come see what you're missing. Just email me, bzsos@blind-zebra.com. See ya.